Hello guys, welcome back again. It has been a long while since I made any drawing videos. It is because I was extremely busy for the past 3 months after releasing the previous video. And a few days after that, the release of that video, my exam results came out. Unfortunately, I didn't pass one of my exams, which means that I have to go through everything that I learned for the past 5 years in medicine, practice it with my friends, as well as going to hospital more often than usual to gain more experience. Lots and lots of things has to be done. And to add on to it, my placement as a foundation doctor is gonna be in Northern Ireland. And what that means is that I have to move all my stuff from England, so from Newcastle, all the way to Northern Ireland. And that took a lot of time when organizing it. And finally, I bought 3 courses released by Trends. It's a wonderful course, but it has lots and lots of homework to do. So everything adding on together, I was a busy man, like a businessman. I've doing everything all the time, wasn't able to rest that much. But no matter what, everything has resolved. I have sorted out my Northern Ireland visas as well as my boxes and accommodations over there. Fortunately, I passed my exams, so I'm going to become a doctor in Northern Ireland in August, as well as I finished my learning process with Krantz. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make a series of videos, so roughly around 5 videos, and it's going to involve me to share with you everything that I learned for the past 3 months. It will be like a structure of weekly schedules, weekly practice schedules, and I'll explain to you what the aim of it, the purpose of it, and the application of the things that you're going to practice about. And so don't worry, I'll be doing this practice as well. There are some practice that is the main focus of what I'm going to do in the future. After learning from Victor Cloux and his drawing schedules, it gave me the understanding about how important it is to have a structure of your daily routine and what you should learn about what you draw and what kind of practice you should do. Because previously, whenever I sit in front of my desk, it's always a question about what should I practice. Should I practice on drawing this character, a pose, or like colors? I don't know. And lots of YouTube videos, they gave different kinds of separate practice. But I don't know whether that suits me or not. How long should I do it? Should I do it in a week or not? Like lots and lots of queries and worries was in my mind. And eventually, when I start deciding what to draw, 80% of my motivation has gone already. So what I want to convey is that I'll show you how I'm gonna structure my own practice schedules, and you can follow along as well. It will be a free document in the description for you to download, and I'll explain to you what the aim of each practice is, so that when you structure your own practice or when you do the practice I share with you, you know what you're doing, you know what the end goal is and the purpose of it, so that overall, less time is being wasted, okay? So what we'll do today is that we'll go through an overview on the 5-week practice schedules and the knowledge that we're going to learn about. And we'll also talk about the 3 main components of my practice schedules and what to do for this week. And finally, a brief general mindset about this whole practice routines so that you know what you're doing and keep those things in mind, okay? So, on the screen, you can see this is the practice the homework was released by Krantz. It involves like colors, perspectives over here, and some like foam capturing things. Before we jump into the practice, I just want to share with you my whole progress this year. So, have a look at over here. In January, around November last year, I started to know the importance about foam capturing and the importance of basics. So I went back and start to learn about how to draw things more accurately, see things and draw things, foam capturing. And this was sort of like a half illustration made when I was practicing drawing a old man. And then between January and March, I started to touch a little bit about colors, learning how to pick colors accurately, but didn't know that much about other special techniques that was taught by Krantz in May or June. But that's okay. At that time, I had slightly a little bit of basics about colors. So this is the illustration I make, which is Makima from Chainsaw Man. And you can see that she's not perfect because I didn't dare to draw the whole feet because my feet drawing skill is not good enough yet. So there are some more things I could have improved on her, such as like giving more minor changes in colors so that the whole illustration has more details into it. But it's okay, it was the first illustration that I made after learning the basics about colors. And then between March and May, I was learning perspectives with Krantz. And this is the illustration, or like somewhat like a homework provided by him, which is to draw a 3x3, so 3 meters times 3 meters of room, and then where you put furniture and everything, try to fit into perspectives strictly. And then between May and June, I started to learn colors in more depth with Krantz, as well as a little bit about compositions. Because during this period of time, I got the exam that I mentioned, so the resit, as well as Northern Ireland storage stuff, as well as visas, everything going on. So I didn't do that much of practice, but I still try my best to do it and squeeze out some time for illustration making. And this is the most recent illustration I made. You can see that this illustration has much more details compared to Makima, and as well as the bike at the back. Strictly speaking, it fits the perspectives, which is the main aim of making this illustration. Try to draw a character as well as an object or a bicycle that fits the perspectives. I'm very happy that I made it. Very happy that I didn't give up during such a busy schedules. And from now on, from July until end of December this year, 2024, my aim is to try to improve not only the characters drawing, the color palette, as well as giving more minor details on the color changes, so that the illustration has even more information to it, more eye appealing and more attractive. So that's my aim now. So going on to the general overview of the 5 weeks drawing schedules and what we're gonna talk about, what we're gonna learn about. There are 3 main components to it. So that'll be foam capturing, perspectives, and colors. So we'll talk about foam capturing first. So what foam capturing means is that it's the ability to look at a reference and draw it out with your hands. So it trains your hand-eye coordinations, so being able to analyze an object and draw it out accurately. And what this 5 week is gonna involve is that in the first week, we'll focus on this kind of line copying, so copying this kind of lines, and it will train your eyes to be more sensitive to different angles, like slope angles, as well as minor changes for different lengths. Okay, and it will be a bit boring in the first week, but it's very crucial to do it, because oftentimes these kind of slopes and angles is really hard to catch if you want to draw a pose difference. In the second week, we'll add on to object capturing, which means that you will be asked to to draw this hat on the side like that, right? And then going on to the third week, we will start to combine the knowledge that we learned from foam capturing over here and the perspectives in the second sections. And we'll ask you to do this kind of car foam capturing. And it's not just drawing the car itself only, but also being able to identify the perspectives, where the vanishing points are, and how the lines converge together so that this car looks like it has some kind of perspectives and structures inside. That's the thing that we'll focus on in the third week. In the fourth week, we will go on to what I call as foam capturing 2.0. And what it means is that by that point of time, you will roughly have the ability to see something, to see a reference, and then draw it out quite easily and quite accurately. So we will learn how to break the object down into small components. What I mean is that if you look at this fish, instead of just drawing the whole fish like that, like when you're doing foam capturing like that, right? I'll share with you how to break the things down into smaller components. For example, the whole body of the fish, like that, and then the tail. So break it down. I don't know what this is called, like hands, or whatever. So hands, the back, and the feet. Yeah, something like this. So break it down, and I'll explain to you why it is important to learn about the shapes, as well as, again, we're gonna put in the perspectives inside so that the things you draw has a structure to it. And a brief example of the usage of this foam capturing 2.0 is, for example, when we're drawing a character, we all know that we should split the character into head, arms, legs, feet, as well as hips, right? And this is like a similar concept, but it applies to everything when you're drawing, so that you will learn the ability to study an object, for example, like a gun or an armor, and you break it down into simpler shape for yourself to learn it. And when making your own illustrations, you could bring out those memories as well as adjusting the proportions so that the armors or the clothes that you draw has your own taste to it and it becomes original. So that's what foam capturing 2.0 is mainly about. In week 5, I'll share with you a outline speed drawing practice. It acts as a warm-up practice. It also acts as a way of how you express your drawings. So what I mean by that is that you could draw this character like this, but you could also draw the character into like a more rounded shape, and this practice allows you to have smaller period of time to do a character drawing, but you have more freedom to that. So slowly over time, you could build up your own styles and your own preference, and you can try out different methods. So it's quite a good practice to do, and personally, I'll be starting to do this kind of practice before I start even drawing the schedules. But we'll talk in more details about that in week 5. And in week 5, we'll also talk about the compositions about illustrations, so things that I learned from Krantz as well as Victor Cloux, like something like this, like we'll analyze the perspectives involved in it, and we'll bring out some examples to share with you what kind of things you'll be able to do and start to focus on after going through the 5 weeks of practice schedules, okay? So that's foam capturing in a nutshell in this 5 week times together. And going on to perspectives. So perspective wise, in the first week, so this week, we'll learn about the vanishing points as well as horizon lines, so what the significance of it is, and we'll also talk about the angles, the two important angles about an object and how we analyze it. In the second week, we'll do drawings where we draw a 45-degree angle plane, like that, something like this, and then we would use the knowledge from perspectives to construct simple objects, like, for example, like a bag, like that, like that. And we'll talk more on the how to make sure the object fits the perspectives, whether the line is converging to this plane, or whether the line is converging to that plane. These kind of minor details in a structure is what we're going to talk about in the second week. In the third week onwards, we will start to incorporate everything that we learned in week 1 and week 2 and putting the things that we want to study about. So for example, like a chest or a feet, a leg, a hand, or a dumbbell or a backpack into 16 boxes that we learned how to draw in week 1. And it will involve us to create our own 3D models in our mind and being able to rotate it around and draw it out. It really requires a lot of good understanding about the structures of something, as well as the ability to bring whatever in our mind into the canvas and use our hand to draw it out. So that's quite a difficult thing that I found, and I wasn't, at this point in time, I'm still unable to do it properly, but that's what I'm going to focus on from now on. And in week 4, it will be less about the practice, because it will just be involved you finding something and then draw it into 16 boxes, 16 different angles. But we'll talk more on some other concepts, such as how to rotate an object in a plane, but it still fits the perspectives. So brief example of it is that if we got this room, we got this little blue box. If I want to rotate this box to one side, how should I draw it so that it still fits this horizon line? And this is what we're going to learn about in week 4. And then week 5, we will combine the perspective and foam capturing together, and it will be the illustration analysis that I mentioned just now, where we'll talk about the compositions as well as the hidden perspectives in each illustrations, so that you understand the importance about perspectives and why it is crucial to learn and have it in your background when you're drawing. In terms of color-wise, it's not a part that I'm really good at. If we talk about the actual levels of my current skills, probably foam capturing is, out of 100, my level is like level 3 or 4. So level 4, my perspective is probably level 4 as well, but my color is probably level 2. So that's what I mean by like not very good at it. But in week 1, however, we'll go through the basics of it, and we'll learn about how to capture a color. So when seeing a color, what color is it? What are the 3 values? So hue, saturation, and brightness. What are they? And we're gonna practice on finding that color when seeing it. Go on to week 2, it will be like a basic version of color capture, where you will see these kind of more abstract color illustrations, and your job is to try to copy it. Going on to third week onwards, this is the part that I haven't done much yet, but it will involve learning about the 2 values. So you can see that if this is obviously a 2 values, right? So a black and a white. And for this illustration, if I ask you to split this illustration into black and white, then you will probably say that, oh, this part is black, and this part is black, and that part is white. So these parts are white. And we'll talk about why this kind of color splitting is very important, as well as how we could practice color palette with trying to convert this kind of illustrations into here, and then starting to add on more colors to it. So that's what we'll do in week 3. So introduction of that practice. Week 4, I'll share with you the more advanced knowledge and details about colors, which is the parts that I currently don't have this kind of skills, but I'll just share with you what was taught by Krantz, and you can use this knowledge, apply it during the practice I will mention in week 3, so you know what you're practicing on or what you should focus on. And some of it is that you can see that these kind of minor color changes. So this is color A, this is color B, and you can see this kind of color minor changes. And that's something that we will learn about, like why they do it, what kind of colors they'll be picking. In week 5, I'll share with you what Krantz mentioned about his coloring process and a way to expand your color usage in your illustrations by using the computer power, like changing the colors, changing the light colors to see whether it fits or not. So that's the thing that we'll talk about in week 5. You can see that there's millions and millions of things to talk about, and that's why I'm splitting this video into 5 of them, so that I don't have to bombard you and keep talking for the next 10 hours. Hello guys, sorry to interrupt in the middle of the video, but the main reason why I'm here is because just now I was editing the videos, but I noticed that I forgot to say where I got some of the practice from. What I mean by that is that in the file, when you download it, form capturing week 1 and week 2, so that will be this kind of practice as well as these practices. These are not originally by me. They are made by Victor Cloux, who is a Chinese professional artist. He made 8 weeks of practice schedules for free, and these references are the week 1 as well as the week 2 practices released by him. Same for color week 1 and week 2. So the color accuracy ones as well as these abstract color illustrations are released by him for free. The place where I found these practice is here. So this is the Bilibili, where Victor Cloux went through all of his practices in the structure of week 1, week 2, week 3/week 4, week 5/week 6, and week 7/week 8. So overall, he provided 8 weeks of practice schedules. And as well as I found it over here, this is the person who went through Victor Cloux' practice, and he made some reflections on it. Under here, there's the Google Drive, where you can find the original Victor Cloux practice schedule for free. If you understand Chinese or is a native Chinese speaker, then I highly recommend you to watch his videos, link in the description below, because he will talk through some of his mindset and thinking process when he makes a original artwork. But that's all I want to talk about in terms of the practice and where I got some of the reference from. But back to the video. Okay, so what we're going to do now is that we're going to go through what we need to do in the first week. We'll talk about foam capturing and then colors. At the end, we'll talk about perspectives, because there's a lot of things we need to talk about in that section. So if you download the files in the description, you can see this file where I split the category into 3. So colors, foam, and perspectives. There is an empty box, a JPG file, so that if you want to start your own practice, like if there's something that you want to focus on, you can put those on the left box and then draw whatever you need to do on the right. It will help keep you on track on how many you need to do or how much practice that you have to draw in a day. So focusing on the foam capturing first, you can see that when typing it, when pressing it, there's a lot of things inside. In week 1, I only prescribed 3 days practice schedules for you. There are more over here, but there's no need to do them. Don't worry. And this is my own practice for you to have a look, have a laugh. It's not good at all. You can see that the lines is completely off over here. Alright, less curvy, too curvy. But yeah, have a look at them, have a laugh, and do it yourself. So the first week, we need to do this as well as this. So I'll show you how to do it now. So if we pull the file into Krita, I'll pull this out a little bit more so that probably you will be able to see a bit about the files and how you actually do it. So we got this layer over here. So first of all, copy and paste it so that there will be two of them, okay? And then, so for the first layer, you reduce the opacity, and then going back to here again, this area, press T so that you can move it, push right, so that you can see that the box is starting to overlay again. There you go, like this. So the layer above is reduced opacity, the layer below is the full opacity one. And then now you're gonna pull the lower layer above so that you can't see the answers. And now you're gonna open a new blank layer and start to draw on this area. Okay, so we could probably do this. So compare it, like this area is probably here, this area is probably here. Like that. Like that, and then probably like, yeah. Yeah, so look. And then your job is to try to copy it out for every single lines. And then you can close the first layer so that you can have a look at the answer to see how well you do. And you could adjust it without seeing the answer, or you could adjust it when seeing the answer, okay? Like that. So that's what you're gonna do. And the aim of this is to try to copy it out. And my eyes, during the same time, I'll just share a little bit of tips. So my eyes is actually looking here while drawing this area, so that to see whether I need to. I've noticed a bit of slope angle if I draw it here or draw it here. If I draw it over here, I feel like my eyes is looking parallel to each other, which means that I'm doing it correctly. And this is the kind of feeling that you will feel when drawing a reference. Is try to observe the proportion of the reference as well as the angles, so the slope angle of the things. So that's why this practice is quite helpful, because if going on to the actual, like a character pose, for example, like if the character is this way, like that, right? And then like that. After this practice, you're slowly being able to notice the changes of this kind of angles and how much it is, so that when drawing it out or drawing your own characters, you can sense what you're drawing and decide whether you want the character to look more dynamic and increase the angles between different parts of the body. So that's why it's quite crucial to do this practice. And this will, or just pull this back, but this will apply to the other practice as well. Just copy, I'll pull this out again, okay. I'll pull this out. So copy, paste it, reduce the opacity on the top, press T, now you can move it. And then make sure that it's overlaid. There we go. And then pull it down. And open a new layer so that you can start drawing it on it. And again, observe the proportions as well as the positions of different parts of the of this like abstract random lines. It'll be quite boring, but bear with it. After probably 2 days, halfway in between, you will start to notice your hands is smoother than usual, and it could draw the things that you want it to draw. Going on to the second part, which is color. So again, we'll pull out the file. So color, color. Here, so color. So color, if you open it, you can see that there's only three of them. The other weeks are trying to fit it in. So for the first week, you just pull this out and put it here, insert as a new layer. I've done it already. You can see my previous trials. Like each one, I got like 10 or 20 trials on them. It's not easy. It's not easy, bro. But it's very helpful for you to become more sensitive to what color it is and how to find them. So let's talk about colors. So colors wise, the three values of colors are hues, which is if we take the advanced color selector out over here, hue is the circle outside. If we go this way, it means saturation goes up. So the colors become more pure, like more pure, more flamboyant, more eye-catchy. If we go a little bit to the middle, it's a bit grayish, and then on the side, it's gray. So the more left you go, the more gray is being added into the color. And then going down, obviously, is the brightness. And going down means that it gets darker. It's quite self-explanatory. So if you go down, you can see that it becomes black. Here, and then you go up. So what your job in the first week is to look at this color. For example, look at this color, this one. Your job is to find it over here. So a brief demonstration of it. Hopefully I can find it in a short period of time. So it's roughly blue. It's blue, okay? And then now we need to decide how high, whether it's a high saturation or low saturation, whether it's a high brightness or low brightness, okay? So blue, I would say it's quite a high saturation, and then it's brighter or not? Just do that, find it. Ah, nice. I mean, it's roughly correct. So you can see that there's not much difference over here. So if we double check what the color is in this specific color selector, this color is 64 in terms of its brightness. The color I chose is 71, 10 difference is okay. The saturation is correct, and the hues is roughly right as well. So not much of a difference. That's good. So that's good enough already. At least 80% is correct. Let's have another trial. I wasn't expecting myself to find this color so easily. So I'll say this color is red. And would you say it's a red orange or a red purple? Oh yeah, a bit of red purple. So red purple, I'll say the saturation is a bit middle, and then the brightness is somewhere here. Like that. Let's have a look. Oh my god, I mean that's a very good color. Nice. Okay, so you can see that it's correct. This is not going well. I want to demonstrate if I got it wrong. And so let's say for this color, let's do it this way. Okay, you can see that for this color, what I chose is like this, right? So now what you're gonna do is like, with this color difference, your job is to try to figure out, okay, so what's the difference between the color that I chose and the color that is required. So over here, you can feel like the color that I chose is darker than it than this A color. I'll call this as A color and B color. So B color is darker than A color, right? So we need to increase the brightness. And in terms of the saturation wise, we could first of all we could just increase the brightness. There you go. Let's increase the brightness. There you go. That's a bit whatever. It's okay. So this is C color. C color. So C color, I know probably a bit too bright, but saturation wise, it's lower saturation. Lower saturation. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna increase the saturation for it. So you increase it like that. Then over time, slowly adjust the color that you chose, check it, and then choose it and check it. Then during this kind of thinking process, your sensitivity to colors will increase significantly. After doing a week of this kind of practice, by doing, I don't know how many are there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 of them a day and 3 days a week, so 60 colors, your knowledge about colors will improve significantly. So trust me on that. I've been through it, so do it. I think it's such a good practice, okay? And it's really, really fun. I'm trying to find it. It's like a detective trying to find someone in such 1,000 million colors over here. Okay, so we have done the colors and form capturing. So now we're going to the one that requires the most explanation, which is perspectives, okay? So if I open the file again, perspectives, and then in terms of my trial, this is the homework that I did with crayons. It involves quite a lot of like lines going here and there. But what we'll do in the first week is 16 boxes. And this is the homework that you need to do. So I'll explain what it involves later on. But first of all, we need some introduction to perspectives, okay? So in terms of perspectives, what it means is that it's the ability to create a space, a 3D space on a 2D canvas. And what it involves is the understanding about horizon lines. And horizon lines, if we draw it out, is this. So this is my head, right? My eyes. It means that the way you see things, so if this is a top to bottom view of my head, my eyes is here, like that. In infinite far away, there's a horizon line over here, which is parallel to my eyes, okay? So parallel to my eyes, infinite far away. So that's why it's oftenly drawn as a straight line. A little bit tips about Krita is that if you press the line tool, if you press shift, it will automatically make it become either horizontal or vertical or like all kinds of random angles, but like that. Okay, so that's the horizon line. We need to explain what vanishing points are. So bear with me. So first of all, if I ask you what perspective this is, how many vanishing points there are over here? Let's say like that. Like that. Sorry for the quite a weird drawing, but if this is the box, this is the inside of it, how many vanishing points there are? You will probably say one. Right? So because the lines are all converging over here, converging here, and every line is converging to this area. And for other lines, they are parallel to each other, so they will not converge. So that's called 1 point perspective. Okay? Alright, so going on to another box. So here we go. So if I ask you how many points of perspective this is, like that. This is the box. This is a box. How many vanishing points there are? You would probably say 2. Because this line is converging to this area. This line is converging to this area. So that there are 2. There are 2 points where lines will be converging. This line is horizontal to each other, so they will not converge. Okay, so going on to here again. So 3 no, I didn't say anything. So if we have a look at this box, hold on. How many points of perspective this is? Then you would probably say 3. You'll probably say 3 because there will be this part converging to here, this part converging to here, and the Z line is going downwards, and things like they're gonna converge. 3 vanishing points. So then you might be thinking like, okay, so how come an object, let's say all these boxes are the same, how come one same box but different angles is gonna evolve into 3 different points of perspectives, either 1 or 2 or 3, right? So we need this. So this is a sketch lab with a 3D kind of box. If we have a look at it over here, this is 1 point, right? If we turn the box to one side, that's 2. It starts to become 2, 2, 2, 2, 1 again, 1 again, and 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 1 again. Okay. All right. Remember that. If I go down, technically this is like a 2-point perspective, but don't worry. So if I switch it to this side, then you will say it's 3. And if I move upward a little bit more, it's 3-point perspective. The vanishing points changes when we change the way we look at the box. Okay, so if we illustrate this idea in the canvas, then this is a top to bottom view. Okay, top to bottom view of me. So my head, my face, my eyes, myself. So top to bottom view of me, and looking at something, a box. And if on a sideway view, like that, it's the same plane. Okay, then you can see that in this kind of view, we will see this, which is 1-point perspective. Okay, but then if we do it again, and then let me swap this, change it a little bit more, then you can see that at this point in time, we have changed like this. So it has become 2-point perspective. And then going on, if I move this, and then I'll move this, my head, my person upwards, looking down, then it will be like that, me like looking down, and it has become 3-point perspective. So 1, 2, 3-point perspectives is all how we view an object, and the angle differences on how we view a object that creates the formulation of either it's a 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, or 3-point perspective. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So I keep mentioning about the angles, and you can see that there are two different views of it and two different angles that is involved in this kind of process happening. One is the sideways view. One is the sideways view, so sideways angle. If I bring this out, have a look at this box. It's the sideways view of the angle. That's the first angle, first one. And the second one is the, let's say this is my eyes and this is the box. The other angle is whether it's up or down. So that's the second angle. So this is the second angle. So whether it's up or down, and then it's sideways. The two different angles consist together makes the importance like this. So like if the box, now it's when I am standing still, the box is rotating itself, then you can see that first angle is going sideways, like either this way or that way, and then up and down, so that either the box is going from here to there or here to there. And that together will consist of lots and lots of different angles. But what we'll talk about is that if we split the angles into 22.5, 45 degrees, 67.5, and 90 degrees. But 90 degrees technically it has become a box again, so we disregard that. So 0 degree, 4 different angles, and up and down. So this created this kind of diagram. And if we look at this area only, okay, just focusing on this area, you can see that this one is just the other rotation of this one. This is the same. It's just that you just rotate it around. There's not much of a difference, isn't it? And for this one, it's just you like flipping it again. So I could say that if I'm able to draw this area, this 16 boxes, I'm able to calculate the other part of this illustration as well as that part. So that's why in the first week, by learning the two different angles, we're gonna focus mainly on this area. So this area, in terms of homework. So this week's homework is to draw these boxes out. So your job is to copy it, try to identify it. So if I cover this up, and if I pick a random box, like I don't know, like this, then this will be I hope that you could over time understand this is a sideways view of 45 degrees downwards. So looking downward at this box, it's a 45 down. And if I pick this one, that'll be, if that's the front face, then 67.5 sideways, and then down 22.5. That's the ability to identify the two different angles of this box. And your job is to, in the first week, to draw it out. So obviously do this, being able to sketch it out and remember them. And a little bit of knowledge behind this is that because it's 22.5 degrees, so roughly, I'm just saying roughly, okay, I didn't do the calculation. 22.5 is here, right? So this part versus this part, it's about 4:1 or 3:1 in terms of its proportions and lengths. So like that. And then I usually draw this part as well, 4:1. Then your job is to draw it out. There you go, like that. And remember that when it comes to the y-axis, they should converge together, okay? So don't draw it as if they are parallel to each other like the first one, because when the object is lower than our horizon lines or lower than our eye levels, the z line will start to converge downwards. If it is below my eye level, if it is above my eye level, it will start to converge on on the top, just like this. So the line, if it is above my head, then the Z line will be going upwards, converging together. That's just something very important to notice. Don't draw it as if they are still parallel to each other. And before I end the perspective talk, which can be confusing, I'm very sorry. We'll just talk a little bit more on why it is important to learn about the 2-point perspective, and as well as the application of it in the future, so that you know why you need to do it and start to notice the power of this practice. So oftentimes when looking at reference or those professional artists, their drawings, you can see like always like this kind of stuff, or like this kind of stuff. And with the knowledge of the 16 boxes, you will be able to identify what angle this drawing is, so that you could draw it yourself, and it will become more easy for you instead of just trying to copying it without the understanding about perspectives. So in other words, if we cut this box out and let me ask you what angle this is, after a few practices, you will probably say that this is about well, this is not technically a box though. This is a rectangle. This is a 45. I'll say this is a 45 angle sideways views, and about 45 degree sideways views as well. So then when drawing yourself, you could try to recall how it looks like when drawing a 45 degrees box. So roughly like this, right? 45 degrees. Yeah. And 45 degrees. And then next week we'll learn how to increase or like duplicate a box in the space. So which will involve this. If I cut this box in half, draw a line down, and draw that line down. I'll talk about this next week, but just a little bit of demonstrations on how to do this. And then like that. And so that's the box that is shown over there. And then this is a cube. But then if I want to cut it down, then I'll just cut it down. Cut it down again, and then we would like that. And if you remember what we're gonna do in the 3rd week, oh no, actually 4th week, which is trying to fit whatever structure that we learned into 16 boxes, then you will be able to draw this yourself. And you don't need this kind of reference anymore, because you can draw it yourself. It's like a math question. You know how to do it. You know the process of how to do it. Then you can come up with all the different angles that we mentioned just now. So which includes the 16 angles over here, as well as the ones above, the ones on this side, and the ones on that side. Then you have all kinds of angles, and everything that you can draw every angles. If you want to draw a character, you can draw from a low angle or high angle. You can draw anything you want by learning perspectives. And that's why it will, over time, you will be able to draw this kind of angles. No problem, easy, because you would probably start to draw like a box first. Like, you don't have to draw a box first, but you would notice that, oh, this is probably like a 45 0 degree angle sideways views, so 0 degrees. But the up and down angle wise, it's probably 45 degrees angle downwards. So if we look at here, it's probably like this, like that. See, and then you can put the character into the box after learning the 16 angles as well as the application of it in week 4, I think. But yeah, so that's why it's very important to learn about the 2 angles as well as the box drawing. So have a look around it, and when it comes to your own illustrations or other people's illustrations, you will start to notice this kind of angle differences and being able to analyze it and put it into your illustrations so that you don't have to draw the same angle all the time. You can start to change up the angles, change up the illustrations, camera angles, so that the drawings that you provided will be much more interesting and much more variations. So a brief recap on today. So what we need to do is that you'll be 3 days of practice, and you will have to do this, and that in a day. Good luck. And then in terms of the final thing I want to talk about is about the mindsets. During this whole 5 weeks of practice schedules together, for myself, when I started this kind of practice, it really helped me building the consistency. So previously, because I didn't know what to draw in a day, so it often becomes me drawing a lot in the first few days. But then after that, I start to have the worries about whether I'm wasting my time, how much I need to practice, and whether I should start to increase the difficulties or not, those kind of worries, and which leads me to giving up on the practice that I just started in 2 days ago. So with this kind of 5 days layout for you, hopefully it will reduce some mental stress on the planning of it and doing it, building the consistency for yourself, and you'll see how much capable you are able to do. And when it comes to learning the new skills and abilities, it's often quite depressive at the start because the improvement curves is really slow. But then after a while, for me, it took around 6 months to 7 months. I could start to see the spiking up of my skills. Whenever I want to learn something, I learn it much faster than previously. And the most important thing about this 5-week schedule is that we need to increase the difficulties over time so that you don't feel bored, as well as the practice becomes too easy for you and you're just starting to wander around in your mind. So increase the difficulties for yourself as well. If you feel like something is too easy over time, increase the difficulties so that it gets more challenging over time, as well as the skills is being practiced differently all the time as well. The purpose-focused practice, so that's why I'm trying to share with you the aim of doing it so that you know the end result of this, having the motivations as well as the mental drive to do this kind of tedious work, while other people who are not drawing are watching on Netflix. You're doing this kind of boring stuff with me. And finally, in terms of 20% time and 80% at the whole, it means you don't need to be 100% accurate in all the practice I mentioned just now and the practice I released. It doesn't have to be 100%, but just make sure that the accuracy is up to around 80%. You know that it looks really similar to it. There's still a little bit of changes and variations or difference between them, but 80% as a whole is good enough. Then that's good enough. You can start to increase the difficulty already, or else spending the next 80% of the time focusing on those 20% of the details is not really beneficial for us as a new learner, and it's not time efficient at all. So that's everything I want to talk about in week 1. Thank you for watching until now. Thank you so much. And if there's any questions or concerns, feel free to comment below or fill in the Google questionnaire in the description below. And I'll see you in the next week. Bye bye.